The Will You Grow Show goes live Sundays 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern. To receive notifications, click the subscribe button beneath this video, or visit YouTube's Will You Grow channel to see more shows and videos. And now, here's Will You founder Angelique Medow with this week's Will You Grow Show.
Welcome to the Will You Grow Show. How are you? I'm Angelique, and I'm here to ignite your inner courage to release yourself from limitations. I'm the founder of Will You and WillYouGrow.com, an inspirational multimedia company that provides personal growth and joy through education, conversations, and adventures. I'm in the studio with our audio aficionado, Ben, and our video Santa, Neil.
Good morning.
They make this show happen while sharing their colorful commentary. This is the 12th in a series of shows about self-care, and it's titled A Fresh Start for Your Heart. In today's show, I'll share a poem, some perspective, and a question to encourage you to make fresh, new, heart-centered choices. Before I read the poem, which will also be typed or linked in the description box, I'd like you to think about how you usually make choices. Are you aware of what process you use to make decisions? Is there any stress involved? Doubts, fears, worries, frustrations, sleepless nights involved in the decision-making process? If so, we hope today's perspective, poem, and question will lighten your load and free you to make decisions with peace and joy. Share with us, gentlemen, about your decision-making process. How do you make your decisions?
Rock, paper, scissors, go.
I think a lot of it for me starts with a feeling or, if it's like, day-to-day decisions, eating, drinking, it's hedonistic, what am I craving? What do I want? And then I go do that. But, no, I mean, to me, it probably starts as just a feeling or something more raw, and then I sit there and process on it, cognate on it,
I find the older I get, the more I have to think on a decision. I can't just jump willy-nilly into something financially. Of course, anything financial. I have to get with the boss, my lovely bride, and we decide on that together and stress on that together. So it just depends. But yeah, I'm finding myself thinking about things more before pulling, making the decision. I can't decide right then and there. I have to stew on it a little bit.
Stewing and then cognating. Those were the two words I heard from the two of you. So what does that mean? Tell us a little bit more. What does it mean to stew on something, cognate on something? Cognate comes from cognition, which is thinking about it. So what does that thinking process sound or look like? Feel like? What does that thinking process involve?
It just depends on what I'm trying to decide on. Financial things is me sitting at the desk like this, but and then then stress builds up, and then I just shriek and yell and move on about my day. But it just depends.
I guess
a lot of research, a lot of Google research. If I'm deciding on something as trivial as a car or a camera, stuff like that, it's a lot of research, which is weird. I never used to do that at all. So I guess I'm getting more not cautious, but I can't just, like, going to buy a car. Well, we need you to decide today. No, I don't need to decide anything today if I don't want to. I choose not to. I'm going to go and do my research. Then I'll get back to you at my pleasure. So, that's me. It peek inside my little brain.
And how did you used to make decisions?
Oh, just haphazardly. Just really didn't think much about it,
Mm-hmm.
especially in buying things. And my father-in-law said, "Oh no, you don't need to do it." Yes, he was Lithuanian. That's why I'm talking like that. He'd say, "Oh no, 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 you need to think. You need to think about that." And he was right.
Mm-hmm.
It was really like rock, paper, scissors.
Mm-hmm. So what it sounds like is you went from making your decisions based on something else, whether it's what, feeling,
Probably.
and then you moved to thinking about it as some balance to the feeling.
Yeah.
So feeling and thinking are what you're currently using to make your decisions, but leaning more towards thinking,
More towards thinking, yes.
maybe because of the results of only making emotional based decisions, and this is kind of
Possibly.
going in the other direction, something like that. Okay, and what about you, Ben?
The research thing, I probably do that a good amount. Make sure if it's a purchase or something like what you're talking about that I know what I'm getting into. I guess I'll just sort of make note of things that could be improved, or what I'm wanting or what my goals are, and I just am always noting and acknowledging that, and then when it gets past a certain threshold, then it's like, okay, I need to make a decision about this, to either change something or forget about it and just let it be. And I guess I think about how whatever my options are, how is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect the people around me? And then if I think I could make that a net positive, I go ahead and do that thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It sounds very logical,
Yeah.
which is a little opposed to the word hedonistic, which is the word I heard you use earlier about some of your decision making, whether it's food or what else, drink,
yeah,
or
consumption.
Consumption. Okay. So both of you in your own word choice are saying the same thing. It sounds like you're making your decisions based on your thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
And they may not be joined. So 1 minute it might be all thinking, which was this.
Right.
It might be all thinking with super logical, no feelings involved. And then one other minute it's feelings and hedonism.
Yes.
Wow.
Without a balance between them. So, this is one of the reasons I wanted to bring up this subject today, because when we're deep in thinking, fear can also live there.
Oh, sure.
Overanalyzing, getting stuck, never knowing if you make the right decision, afraid that making any decision could be the wrong decision, and it just goes in a cycle. So, and the feelings part of it, when you might be in the middle of it, when you're making that feeling decision, it feels good at that moment, but then the repercussions after that can be deadly, whether it's too much drink, food, drugs, whatever, or the wrong thing.
Yeah, too much stress.
So either one of those, although many of us have been brought up to say, oh, let's look at the pros and cons. Let's be logical about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we're talking about things like relationships, oh, well, get your heart involved. But we don't know, what does that mean? And how is that going to work itself out? We can't be all in our feelings and we can't be all in our thinking. So I was kind of wandering my way through a day.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I get these nudges, these intuitive nudges. And although I don't have a process that I've ever written down for how I make decisions, I don't make decisions by either one of those in general. So there are moments where I might, but in general, I don't. So this nudge, this intuitive nudge that I had, was asking me to just sit down and write something with my hands, write rather than on the computer, which is what I usually do. So I wrote a poem.
Oh boy.
A fresh start for the heart. And it is hopefully going to inspire you to lighten your load and free yourself to make decisions with peace and joy. And we're going to do that by involving some of the feelings that go along with what that would be like. So, a fresh start for the heart. Take a deep breath and let it out. Close your eyes if you feel so led, and take this in. If there ever were a time to grant ourself the peace of mind, to wildly bite the apple crisp and lushly suck our lower lip, this time has come to reap what's sown and really live this life full blown. Now that might sound hedonistic, but in reality it is not. It is not fully hedonistic in the way that one might think that it's all about feeling and pleasure. It's about the experience of life. And is our decision bringing life to us? So what feelings came to mind and what thoughts came to mind as you heard this poem?
I feel just called to be more present and live totally in the moment, like, and maybe allow your environment to inform what you should be doing or thinking about, thinking being less of an analysis thing and more of just experiencing.
That's what I was going for, especially with the last line, live this life full blown. Don't overthink it. This life is here. Life is precious. Enjoy it. Live it. That's what I heard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, you both had an interesting perspective. Now, after hearing this, how does this shift the concept of making decisions based on thinking and feeling?
I still feel like there's a balance.
Yeah. There's some things I'm just going to have to. That's just part of who I am. I'm just going to have some things when I'm thinking about something. I'm going to have to research it. But there will be some things that I can just live life in the moment and just make the decision based on feelings and not overanalyzing it like a...
It starts to become complicated, doesn't it?
Oh, it's very complicated.
Because as I see you working through, well, how do I add this? This is just one more thing that I have to add into my decision-making process. And it just starts to get overloaded, and then it's go back to the way that it was, right?
Yes.
Okay. And thank you so much for sharing that, which is very important because that's where most of us go to. Like, oh, one more thing to add to the to-do list. This is actually something that goes to what Ben said about presence. Mm-hmm. We're going to read it one more time and feel the presence that's required to act like this. Again, feel, because we're making our decisions on thinking and feeling, okay, most of the time. But I want you to feel the presence that's required to make this decision. If there ever were a time to grant ourself the peace of mind, to wildly bite the apple crisp and lushly suck our lower lip, this time has come to reap what's sown and really live this life full blown. So if we walk through that, if there ever were a time, we have enough stress already, right? In our decision making and our life in general. There is no time like the present and presence. Presence is what gives us peace of mind. The next two lines, to grant ourselves the peace of mind. Grant ourself. We weren't giving everyone else authority to decide about our peace of mind, right?
Right. It's up to us.
It's up to us to give ourselves peace of mind. If we're coming from a place of peace of mind when we make decisions, it's not going to feel frightening. So that ought to be the basis of where our decision making comes from. Okay, I'm feeling out of sorts. If I'm feeling out of sorts, I need to go meditate first and get my breathing centered and feel like I have peace of mind. Now I'm in a better place to even consider making a decision. Think of what the results would be from that. Making decisions from a peace of mind when we're hungry versus making decisions based on worry when we're hungry. Can be the difference between making ourselves sick from eating too much and just making a healthy choice. And that applies to everything. So first, grant ourselves the peace of mind to wildly bite the apple crisp. Wildly bite. Not as in just hedonistic pleasure, but it's alive and you're alive, and being present with life and acknowledging that we are a wild creature. Taking a bite of something that gives us life. Life.
Take a bite out of life.
Yes, take a bite out of life. The apple crisp, like, that could be a dessert. I understand that. But, you know, when an apple is perfect, that tree had to take an entire year to get to that point where it bears the fruit of those beautiful apples at the perfect moment when it is crisp and the right color and the beautiful fragrance, all of those things. That is a sensual moment.
It's sweet and pure.
And
That
if you're
apple.
present with it and you're not just having and taking and getting and eating the apple, it's about the experience of being with the animal within you and the animal in that tree. The life is what I'm saying by animal. The life, being with the life. You're experiencing your decision as life. It's not about judgment. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Should I do it faster? Should I do it slower? You are experiencing life. And lushly suck our lower lip. When you have really bitten a big juicy apple, you cannot do that without having some juice run down somewhere.
You gotta lick your lips.
And be okay with it. Which means that we're not insecure, we're not self-absorbed, we're not afraid of what everybody's thinking of us. We have just experienced a piece of life and we're licking that juice off of our lip. Then this time has come to reap what's sown. We're alive. We've already gone through the conception process, the gestation process, the birthing process, the growing process physically. It's time to actually live this life and experience it. Make these decisions based on life. What is bringing me life? Because we've already sown, the seeds have been sown to create what we are. Let's just go ahead and live it. Let's not wait until we're 20 pounds thinner, when we're smarter, when we have more hair, when we, whatever you want to say. We've got to do it now because we have no guarantee that there is a tomorrow. So we don't want to miss the fact that spring has made us beautiful flowers or beautiful fruits or beautiful people, all because we're too busy or afraid of making the wrong decision. So we can, last lines, really live this life full blown. Full blown. That doesn't mean all care to the wind. It doesn't mean all hedonism. It doesn't mean stuff me full of every pleasure in life. It means make choices that are full blown life. So if we want to put that into a concrete example, so if we have a choice between a Frosty and a glass of fresh, clean and purified, full of mineral water, or water from some beautiful spring somewhere, which one of those is going to bring life to this body? Life, as in vibrance, as in health, as in the joy of the experience of being alive. This one gives us pleasure for a short period of time, but it does not bring us life. After it goes into our stomach, all that sugar turns into inflammation, which turns into cancers and other things. And that's just one of the many issues that go along with something that has little to no vitamins, little to no nutrients, and just gives pleasure to the tongue for a brief period of time. And sickness and death in the end if a person does enough of that sort of thing. So now, with that said, any questions about the poem or thoughts on that?
Oh, I thought it was great. Having great discussion, really digging into the meaning of it, and it gives us all food for thought.
Nice. So now I said we'd discuss the poem and some perspective, which we did, and now a question. So this question can be like medicine. I use it many times an hour to keep me moving in the direction of life, vibrance, health, and happiness when I make decisions. I ask myself this question before I make decisions. Does this choice add life? Does this choice add life? That's an experience. That's presence. That's feeling. What kinds of feelings? Pleasurable feelings. It might not be the rush, like the frosty, but it's a long-term, joyful experience in the body, in the mind, in the life of me. Life. Does this choice add life? You notice there's no pro and con. I'm not diving into pros and cons, thinking or feeling. Now, those things can all be considered, but that's fluff on top of the main question, which is, does this choice add life? Because if it does not, it's actually bringing me closer to death. Simple way to be able to recast the way that we make decisions. Now, for those of you who may not really quote unquote, feel it when we talk about that question. Does this choice add life? I'm going to rephrase it in a couple of other ways, and you can see which one seems to fit you best. Here's another way to phrase the question. Is this choice born from love? Is this choice born from love? Let's go back to the Frosty example. You might love the taste of Frosties, but do you love yourself if you're going to drink something that's going to damage your system? Do you love this being by giving it something that's going to harm it? So if it isn't, then what choice would be a choice born from love? And one can move forward in decision making from there. Now, some people may replace that word love with faith, because some people, might define love in a way that doesn't feel very good. So you don't want your choice to be born from love because love might mean pain to you. Okay? So some people may replace that word love with faith, whether it's faith in a God or it might be faith in the process of life. So that question would sound like, is this choice from faith? Is this choice from faith? In 60 seconds, we'll have the Love Our Humanness section of the show where we'll apply this question to one of our upcoming choices, and we'll talk about it. We'll be back in a sec.
If you wish you had notes for today's show topic, your wish is granted. You can receive free weekly articles emailed to you every Sunday that match the show topic, and you'll have free anytime access to all prior articles, shows, adventure videos, affirmations, personal success stories, and the latest happenings at Will You. Here's what to do. Just click Show More in the description box. Then click the link for free weekly inspiration show notes. Type in your email address, hit enter, and you're set. You'll start getting free weekly articles in your inbox every Sunday, and you'll have free anytime access to hundreds of inspirational ideas and support from Will You. Get your free show notes by clicking free weekly inspiration show notes in the description box. You can heal with words, ease anxiety, create peace, hope, and love within with these elegant new hardcover affirmations books, card decks, and journals by Angelique Medow, founder of Will You and WillYouGrow.com. Join us on tour to meet Angelique as she shares hands-on tips to inner peace and harmony by integrating the Affirmations books, card decks, and journals into your health and happiness lifestyle.
I love getting to spend time with Angelique, and especially learning how to use the wonderful tools that she's created. I've been using them at home and taking the time to spend 5 minutes just to focus on whatever card I drew for the day. And it has given me some peace and space to just get calm. And then to spend some time with her today and learn even more about how to use these cards and to journal about these experiences. It's just even more fulfilling because she's such a sweet soul and makes it okay even when I feel frustration or I feel conflict. And she helps me see that this whole purpose of my life, no matter when I'm struggling or frustrated or angry or not happy and joyful and blissful, that all of that is still okay and that it's all for a reason. Using these cards, even without her with me, she'll still be there in those cards. Now that I know how best to use them and truly feel them, I have confidence that I am going to be so blessed, and I'm so grateful.
Select a tour date now to meet Angelique and fun new like-minded friends for hands-on tips to more harmony in your heart, mind, and home. Click the link in the description box for April Brunch Series in Tennessee, and we'll see you there.
Welcome back to the Love Our Humanness section of this show. So, you got some decisions on your plate for the week coming up ahead. If so, let's see if we can apply one of these questions to help you make decisions that are joyful, easy, and born from life. So, what kind of decision making have you got coming up for this week? What kind of choice have you got coming up where we could apply this question? Does this choice add life?
I think that's a daily question. It's a daily thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're all choosing, should I drink the bourbon or should I not drink the bourbon?
Mm-hmm.
That obviously does not give life. It's been clinically proven that it decreases life the more you drink it.
So let's just suppose, if we
Yes.
were just going to use an example,
Yes.
that someone like yourself did like bourbon
Mm-hmm.
and actually allowed that question to come to your mind and heart at the moment before you poured the bourbon into the glass. And you ask, does this choice give me life?
Mm-hmm.
What would the answer be?
Well, the obvious answer is no. This does not give me life.
Now, if we end it there, it can just feel frustrating, right?
yeah.
Okay, because you want the bourbon and you're answering no, and you'd probably end up going back to do it.
Yeah.
So where do we go from there?
Well, we ask, well, what does give me life? And that would be anything.
And does, and
Water.
don't mean to interrupt.
Oh,
so
sorry.
when you say does, that word does applies to right now and your past.
Mm.
You may never have made choices that gave you life.
Oh.
So it's
Guarantee
important that when we use our word choices that we ask, what would?
Oh, what would?
Because what happens when you use the word would? You open yourself up to possibilities you may never have experienced before that would bring you life. And then you could explore a little.
Explore those, yes.
And even just asking the question and being open to the answer, you never know. You might have some perfectly life-giving thing that comes on an ad that you see on television, or something that your daughter mentions to you. Gee, Dad, I just tried this coconut water. It was really awesome. You got to give it a try.
Or just going for a walk in nature, which
any
does
of
give you.
that. Any of that. So great. You applied that question. Does this choice add life? The answer is no. And then we say, what would?
Mm-hmm.
We get to learn more about ourselves. Love ourselves more.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. What about you, Mr. Ben?
Later today, actually, I'm going to go be working at a brewery here in Knoxville, filling a bunch of bottles full of product to be sold tomorrow. So the question, again, this is sort of like your bourbon one.
Mhm.
You know, if you're there and you get free drinks at this brewery because they produce it and it's practically infinite there for the scale of one person, do you try and time machine through the day by grabbing, you know, Pilsner after Pilsner after Pilsner as you fill these bottles and it's super repetitive and you just want to get home? Or because you know, well, see, you don't even have to think ahead in this example because, yes, I do know that when I get home, I'd have to drink more water, or it could delay my getting home because if I drank too quickly, then I probably shouldn't be behind the wheel.
Correct.
But without even thinking forward into the future, you know, if you're doing work, you know, you want your cells to be hydrated, drenched in, you know, moisture. It's part of the fuel that you need as a human being. Hopefully that's not news to our audience that you should drink a little bit of water each day or more than a little. But yeah, I mean, it's always a difficult decision when you work in production of something like that, or, you know, if you were a pastry chef or something. So sorry to make it super similar, but I face that every time I'm there. And some days I make good decisions and some days I don't. But I think what we're getting at is every time you face those decisions, there are all these pros and cons and reasons to do or not to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we're drilling down into is deep down you can almost intuitively, or not almost, you can tell this is how this is going to make me feel short term. This is how it's going to affect me long term. And it's not even necessarily this check the boxes. You just, especially maybe the older you get and the more experienced you are, you just know it immediately without really the thinking. And so the thinking, the cognition is really, how can I justify whatever decision I'm already about to make? And, you know, make it so that it makes sense so that I'm not thinking about it when I'm trying to sleep tonight. Sort of. So am I making sense?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. And it becomes a feedback loop, like getting into those thought processes of how to decide something and then justifying. It takes a lot of time and energy, and it's confusing and cyclical, and it's a loop. It's a loop. You don't ever get healthier or out of that loop. The loop just loops. It's what it's made to do.
Loop.
It's a life loop. And you know people, we all do know people who live the loop.
Oh, yeah.
That's all the life they know is the loop. But this kind of recentering in heart-centered decisions, recentering by giving us perspective that all decisions are really life or death, helps us to take all that stress and worry and loop away. It's just eliminated. If the basis of decision making is this bringing me life or death? And we just decide, just try it. No, I'm going to give you a challenge. Try it for even just an hour and notice what happens to you and how you feel about yourself. Just bringing your awareness to your decision making, and then also the effects of making the choices that bring you life. If you want to go back to the old way and keep, dibble-dabbling back and forth for a while, you can. But once a person's done it long enough, boy, it feels so good to make the choices in life that those other ones just aren't even an issue.
And also, as we've been talking about this, I was thinking, when you make decisions based on reasoning or logic, it's always based on the information you have at that moment. And so when you make a decision based on that, as time moves on and you're past that moment, you're almost still in that loop of the analysis, and then you have regret and stuff. I'm sure you could maybe regret something that you do impulsively also. For sure you could, but it's harder to, because it was authentic, it was honest. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you get new information or you see that your old information that you made the decision based off logic is faulty
Mm-hmm.
or proved to be erroneous for some other reason down the road, you're then still in that analysis on a decision that you already made and you can't change.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to if you are just present and doing what you genuinely think or feel that you should do,
Or beyond that, which is know
that you should do, then it doesn't, sort of regardless of the outcome, you feel like, well, that's what I had to do in that moment. So
Yes.
more food for thought.
Yes, and it's a very good point because you can never have enough information to take in every single perspective to make a decision. I mean, that you don't have wondering worries. You know, you could pretend, you can say, I don't ever think back to anything. But the fact that you even have to mention that probably means you do.
Yeah. You wouldn't mention it unless you do.
Living without regret is a huge freedom. Huge. That most people don't ever get to enjoy all the way to their deathbed. And this process of making decisions based on, does this give me life, eliminates regret. So fun. All right. I'd like for you to consider, would you take the challenge and at least for 1 hour, make all your decisions based on what gives you life?
Of course.
Yeah, I'd do that for an hour for sure.
Yeah.
Start with an hour.
Start with an hour.
Start with an hour.
Baby steps.
Want to hear some feedback? Yeah. Nice. Okay, great. And all of you out there, please put your thoughts and comments and what your results of your 1 hour challenge is, because we want to hear all about it. So if there's any part of you that feels unworthy of supporting the life in your decisions, the life in you, and simply being or getting to know yourself, remember and repeat our 3 affirmations from the last weeks. The first one is, I do matter. We'll say that together on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I do matter.
And the second affirmation is, I am worth knowing. We'll say that together on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I am worth knowing.
And the third affirmation, I am important. We'll say that together on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I am important.
Thank you. And yes, all of you are. So rather than fighting, fleeing, stuffing, or drowning ourselves to escape from having to make decisions or to make healthy decisions, we can create a safe inner place to grow, know, learn, and decide. By doing so, we neither look to others nor lean on them to teach us. This allows us to learn from within. This allows us to simply share life and love with others rather than needing something from them, including validation and reassurance that our decisions are okay. So when we experience being in this way and deciding things based on life, we are showing ourselves that we can love and care for ourselves in the way that we seek. So will you? I encourage you to know and love yourself and make your opportunities to make decisions based on life. No one can do this for you. And by doing so, you'll always know that somebody cares, and that somebody is you. So let us know how applying today's concepts works for you. We enjoy hearing from you. And heads up on our Will You tour dates. This May, we're invited back to South Carolina, where you can join us at Nevermore Books and Hunting Island State Park. Check out the details here.
Join us in beautiful Beaufort, South Carolina in May. An historical location founded in 1711, Beaufort is a seaside city that maintains its antebellum architecture and small-town atmosphere, while surrounded by the sultry scent of salt marshes and its delicious and infamous frogmore stew. Many famous movies have been filmed in Beaufort, including Forrest Gump and The Prince of Tides. And it's also the hometown of late author Pat Conroy, the Pat Conroy Literary Center, the Beaufort Film Festival, and 300-year-old live oak trees draped in flowing Spanish moss. There's lots to do in charming Beaufort, South Carolina, so book your accommodations anytime May 1st through the 22nd. Then beginning Friday, April 22nd, go to willyougrow.com to schedule time with Angelique to enjoy a meal, tour, inspirational talk, nature walk, bike ride, and or book signing. Again, just make your own travel and lodging arrangements. Then go to willyougrow.com beginning this Friday, April 22nd to book your meal, tour, inspirational talk, nature walk, bike ride, and or book signing with Angelique. Join us anytime May 1st through the 22nd, and we'll see you there.
And we'd love for you to join us today and next Sunday, April 24th at 1 o'clock in Knoxville, Tennessee for the Will You Grow, Love, and Adventure Brunch series at Knoxville's luxury venue, Ancient Lore Village. Advance tickets are required, so take a look at that event video next for all the delicious details and book your tickets for future fun with us on Sundays. Note that this Sunday's brunch portion of the event is booked, but we'd still love for you to attend. So my inspirational talk is complimentary with a booking of an Ancient Lore Village story tour. You can find a link to book your story tour today or book your brunch next week by clicking in the description box below, and I hope to see you there. And now, please take excellent care of your very fine self. And I send you off, always with love, from Angelique.
Join author and guest speaker Angelique Medow for Will You Grow, Love, and Adventure, an April brunch series at Knoxville's boutique resort, Ancient Lore Village. The bountiful Sunday brunch is $35 and begins at 1 o'clock. Feast on breakfast casserole, seasonal salad, fruit skewers, biscuits and gravy, pork loin, and pecan rolls outside and under cover by a grand fireplace, radiant column heaters, and a stunning view of the blue-hued Smoky Mountains. Then get cozy for Angelique's inspirational tips to harmonize your heart and mind for everyday feelings of love and inner peace. Next, take a guided tour of the magical village. For overnight accommodations, reserve one of the 9 immaculately designed village dwellings to reconnect with nature, yourself, and your loved ones as you explore the village's 67 acres, its archery and axe throwing range, stories around the flickering campfire, and the nearby Smoky Mountain National Park. Don't miss this beautiful opportunity any Sunday in April at 1 o'clock at Ancient Lore Village, just 15 minutes south of downtown Knoxville, Tennessee. Enjoy life with wonderful people and fulfill a fairy tale fantasy. There are only 30 tickets available each Sunday, so reserve your tickets now for the Will You Grow, Love, and Adventure Brunch series any Sunday in April at Knoxville's luxury venue. Click the description box below, then click the link titled Brunch Series in Tennessee. Join us at Ancient Lore Village any Sunday in April at 1 o'clock. You must have tickets to attend, so click the link in the description box for April Brunch Series in Tennessee to get your tickets, and we'll see you there. For more information about programs offered by Will You, mentoring with Angelique, and to watch video success stories from clients, explore willyougrow.com. If you or your company are interested in inspiring our mutual audience by sponsoring this or another of our programs, let's talk about it. Boost viewer confidence and trust in your company. Call 1-833-WILL-YOU, then press extension number 6. Make sure to click the subscribe button to get reminders before upcoming shows.